Good morning, friends. It's Heather at Bush Puppy Farm. Hope you are doing well. Today we're going to do an early May garden tour. Well, it's another chilly spring morning. It's early May, and even though it'll be getting warmer today, we did go down to 42 Fahrenheit again last night. So it's been a very slow growing spring season because we haven't had any real warm snaps, and so things in the garden aren't as far along as they normally are, especially at the farm, but they are growing, and so I would like to share that with you this morning. Also, the light is really nice because it's early and the sun's not directly overhead, so it's a good time to share. Okay, first we're going to start just with a garden bed here on our back porch. So this bed is only about 2 years old, and I pulled a lot of stuff out, cut a lot of stuff back this year. We have matching wine barrel containers on either side that have beautiful violas that I planted. The violas and the chrysanthemum that I don't even know what variety that is. Yeah, we'll find out when it blooms. I planted those back in October and they just still look beautiful. Normally I grow tomatoes in here for the last couple of years, but this year I tried and they got eaten. So instead we put in these beautiful, I think they're called Striping Beauty or something like that. Anyway, they are climbing. It will get quite tall, and it has these beautiful little pink blooms on it. Very pretty. Just a nice, pretty plant for height in the back of that container. Then in this bed we have mixed border front stuff. We did have thyme, creeping thyme, that had, usually takes over the bed, and this stuff will take over the bed through the course of the season, but I had to pull out all the thyme because it was most of it had died back and it just was looking really rough. So we also have lantana and lavender in here, as well as yarrow, and then a couple other perennials, which I can't remember exactly what I put in here right now. But then we also have some really adorable dwarf sunflowers in the front, and they're looking great. So I will be happy to see what those look like when they fully bloom, but this area will continue to fill in. It's already filled in quite nicely. Everything that I cut back is coming back beautifully. Okay, then over here, and this is reality. So I've started cleaning out all of my containers. These are the dirty ones still. Half of these, I had twice as many. I already did half and they're back in the greenhouse all clean. So I've cleaned all the trays. So this is what's left. I'm waiting for a warmer day because it's kind of chilly to sit here in cold water and washing. But I wash and disinfect all of my 6-packs and reusable containers and trays and all that kind of stuff, and then put them back in the greenhouse, and everything is stocked and ready to go for next time I need to start seeds. So once I finish with this, we'll be good for a while. But this is the citrus that we have on the property, and there are 3 in containers. Yes, it's California, and a lot of people grow citrus in the ground, but we have a lot of clay in our soil, and so citrus can struggle because it wants more sandy, free draining soil. So I grow them in containers. I've got a Meyer lemon here, which is, as you can see, absolutely loaded with buds. The flowers on these lemons just smell amazing. I've got a mophead Macrophylla hydrangea right behind it. And then this is our key lime, Mexican key lime, again, loaded with flowers. And then, yes, we've got oxalis growing in here and actually some lettuce as well. I do come in routinely and pull it all out, even though it looks pretty. I don't want to take too much from the plants, but the trees are doing fine. And then we've got another Meyer lemon over here, also loaded with buds, and some of them are blooming. So the bees are enjoying this quite a bit. Here I have a collection of patio vegetables. These are small, like cucumbers. This is Quick Snack. Both of these are Quick Snack cucumbers. And then I've got a bush tomato here. This one is Patio Choice. And so I have chosen, here's another 3 tomatoes over here. I've chosen to grow these container varieties in containers. They are billed as that on the seed packet, and I wanted to test it out and see how well they did. And they're looking amazing and already starting to flower. So I'm excited about that. It's just also fun. You know, I've got tomatoes in the front garden, but it's fun to have them right outside my back door, especially these because they're going to be smaller tomatoes. They'll be great for like adding into salads and stuff. And then we have our strawberry tower of this green stalk, and there are this is all June-bearing strawberry. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is all June-bearing strawberries, and so they are just starting to set fruit, and they are flowering. Not all the plants, but a lot of these are new. A lot of them I had to put in earlier this year because the old ones were just petering out. Generally, strawberries after a couple of years, you know, just aren't as productive anymore. And so when these guys send out runners this year, I will staple down the runners with an earth staple into another pocket. And then once it roots, I'll cut it off of the mother plant, and then we'll have more newer plants. We also have more strawberries over here in these containers. These are June-bearing strawberries, and so they're all going to come on kind of at once. We also have peas. I decided to put, since I have this trellis, I put some peas in this trellis, and they are climbing up, and we'll have some nice fresh peas. My peas did not succeed again in the front garden because they just get eaten. They get eaten by birds or rodents, whatever, when they're small. They just never take off, even if I try to shield them with screening. Back here, they did well. So we'll have some peas this year. Same container, it's just the other side, but as you can see, lots and lots of strawberries getting started here. And the color of these pea flowers are just so pretty. Okay, and then moving on to the cottage garden strip here. First we've got borage over here. I'm sorry, not borage. First we've got comfrey over here. Look how pretty. I love comfrey. It's got all kinds of amazing uses, but it also makes a really excellent fertilizer for your garden. It's super stinky because you basically take the leaves, chop them all up, put them in some water and let them basically ferment and rot. And then you can strain that out and use that as a fertilizer. It's wonderful, but smells horrible, as anything decomposing does. But anyway, it's really nice to see this coming back this year and already blooming. Then we've got some red rooster grass here, and I have popped in to the cottage garden this year a number of squashes. We'll just see what they do. The ones that have survived predation so far are doing okay. But in this little mix here, we've got asters and lupins and rudbeckia and columbine that are about to bloom, and lavender. These are geraniums, hardy geraniums. These three really pretty. I love this color foliage. We've got some foxgloves in the back, irises, and still the foliage from the daffodils that is, you know, the daffodils are long gone, but this foliage stays up until it browns and starts to die back, and then I'll pull it all out. But right now, this foliage is feeding the bulbs for next year's blooms. So Dusty Miller, this is a chartreuse lime green feverfew. It comes back year after year, which I love. And then interspersed in here, we've got a couple of sedums, and we'll have like sweet alyssum and some creeping thyme and stuff as ground covers in the front. So then we've got irises. Like I said, this one's getting ready to bloom. A bunch of these are new to me this year because I planted them last fall. And so I'm really excited to see what they're going to look like. So we've got calendula. Look at these gorgeous foxglove. These have been up for quite a while. I love foxglove because they just last for the longest time. This Nemesia is still looking fantastic. So pretty, and it smells amazing. Nemesia and sweet alyssum, which we've got here in the front, both smell like honey, so really lovely in the garden. And then we've got some yarrow in here, which will be blooming later this summer. Some lavender, some more irises that are going over, but they're still pretty. More foxglove in the back, more dusty. These are my favorite irises. I've had these in here for a number of years, and they are spreading, which I'm thrilled about. This is the black suited iris. Look at this stunner. Black suited bearded iris. I just can't even explain. Now it's not even completely open yet. It's got like a solid gold center to it. Oh, it's just beautiful. But you know, I started with one plant and now we've got all of these blooms coming up. I just love them. And then we've got a mix in here. Some of this Nemesia was in a container, and I pulled it out of that container and put it in here. We've got beard tongue back here. I planted that in, I think, February. So this is my first time growing it. It looks really good. This area, I wanted to have a little bit more higher things in the back, but we've got a sprinkler head there. And until I fix the irrigation in this bed, in other words, make it all drip, I need to have space for that sprinkler to spray out or nothing gets water. So again, more irises. Look at this blue one. This is new for me again this year. Just a stunning flower. There's the throat. I don't remember these varieties, and see, now I've got to prop this guy up. I need to come in with a stake so that I can make sure that it doesn't get pulled out of the ground. Here's more Dusty Miller, just a different variety. A lot of these are about to get cut for Mother's Day bouquets. We've got calendula that's closed right now because it's still early in the morning. More black-suited iris and another beard tongue. More lavender down here. This is cotton lavender, both in silver and in its regular color. So it doesn't have really demonstrative blooms, but they're really pretty. We've got the remnants of our California poppies that are still very pretty. All the salvias in the back are now starting to come alive and putting on bloom stalks. This is another iris. I can't wait to see what this one looks like when it completely opens. We've got our Romantica ball gown rose, which is looking great, but hasn't put any bloom stalks on yet. So I think that'll be a later season bloomer. Got some campanula on the bottom there. This is Nepeta, very happy catmint. More black-suited iris. And then more dusty, obviously. We've got some lupins and an allium back there starting. And again, more iris. Look at how stunning these are. I swear, bearded iris, just a lot of bang for the buck. So pretty. These guys are going to need some support, though. I need to give them some stakes. And we've got already back here some of these salvias blooming, which is lovely. And then these guys are osteospermum. They're a double. I just put them in the other day. Someone asked me if they will bloom all season long. In my experience, generally for me, we get so hot in the summer that they kind of take a break when we start hitting our hundreds temperatures, and they just kind of sit there. They don't die, but they just kind of sit there. Sometimes we'll get a second flush in early fall if temperatures are mild, but if we still continue to have really high temperatures, they just don't bloom again until next spring. And then we've got a big massive hollyhock back here. I cannot wait till it sends up its bloom stalk. It is a black watchman variety. This is a buddleia. And then of course more salvias, like I said, and the bumblebees are very busy this morning and so happy. Over here, this bed is mostly, at this point, helichrysum, licorice, I think silver licorice is what it's called. And then this is lamb's ear, which is producing its flower spikes. But I do want to clear out this bed this fall. It is also full of daffodil bulbs and hyacinths and snowdrops, but they've been taken over by the lamb's ear, so I didn't get as good of a show this year as I usually do. So I want to really clear it out a bit. And we've got some campanula popping up back here. Now in these containers, we've got flanking ones here. This is Hot Lips salvia. It's looking beautiful. And with all my salvias, I cut them way back in very early spring to within a couple of inches, and then they give me really nice blooms again, and it maintains their size better. And then I also put some edibles in here. There are quick snack cucumbers in here, and you can see it's got some leaf scorch, but they'll be okay because this is the most direct sun, hottest part of the property in the early morning till about 1 o'clock. Here's our green stalk that we worked on in an earlier video. We've got squashes in the bottom and cucumbers and still some remaining winter vegetables. And these are our baby peppers that we planted. And you can see there's got some roly-poly damage. They'll be okay. But these peppers are, for the most part, looking pretty good. And I can always get more to pop in. Next, I want to show you my climbing roses. These are Joseph's Coat. Again, they had a major hard cutback this January, and they're just looking gorgeous. And of course, they are out of control already. I need to I'll probably try to get time to do this today. Take this more flexible stems and try to wrap them around that post so that we can have more blooms on the horizontal, but also because they don't stick out so much when we're trying to mow the lawn, etc. But as usual, just looking beautiful. And these guys pump flowers literally all year long. They kind of slow down a little bit in December and January, but even then we occasionally have some flowers. And then our hydrangeas, these are limelights that we transplanted. They used to be in containers by the greenhouse. Transplanted them up here. They're looking awesome. I transplanted them because after spending about 3 years in those containers, they were just not being as productive. Not as many stems and more spindly stems because they were running out of space in the containers. In fact, when I took them out, almost the entire container, it was a large container, was a root ball. So we dug holes, put them in here last fall, and they're looking great. And I think we're going to get a lot of really beautiful panicle hydrangeas from them this year. We also have a limelight here and another one down here. Those were planted initially in these locations. And then the herb tower, looking very lush and abundant. I'm going to need to start harvesting and drying because there's so many on here that we just can't eat them fresh fast enough. So especially with the lemon balm, that makes wonderful tea. So also today on the list of to-dos, harvesting and drying some herbs. And then over here, we've got our container of scented geraniums. These are the 3 rose varieties with some nasturtiums in the front. We've got some succulents spaced out here. They're much happier now that they're outside, not in the greenhouse. Look, we've got blooms on this guy. The hummingbirds absolutely love these blooms. They are tubular and full of nectar. And apparently they replace their nectaries very rapidly, like within a few hours. And so the hummingbirds visit them frequently. Our basil tower is looking great. This is Super Vista mini bubblegum. And so I'm expecting lots and lots of really pretty flowers on that. That should fill that entire container and spill over. But the basil's doing fine. And look at the Edith's Dream Rose. Look at this rose. So many petals. Each flower has an average of 50 to 65 petals on it. Just stunning. And the funny thing is, there's some of these roses out there have 100 to 200 petals per rose. Crazy. But this one's been very productive so far. There's still lots that are unopened. Here's a container we did just the other day. This was a spring container full of, I think it had Nemesia in the back and Sweet Alyssum around the front. I pulled those out and put them in the cottage garden, and now we've got white Veronica in the back, as well as this really pretty Bidens, which just keeps pumping out the flowers. I keep deadheading it. And then one of my favorites, this is a sweet potato vine. The idea is for it to spill over the front. I took a little bit of a risk with this one because this is a full sun afternoon location. Like, it's shaded in the morning, but then from like midday on, it gets a lot of baking sun. So this sweet potato vine might really struggle. What I really wanted was my favorite spiller, which was Dichondra Silver Falls, but they're sold out everywhere. That has become a favorite of a lot of people, and so I couldn't find one. But this will work nicely, and I do love that chartreuse color. And on to our new shade garden bed that we put in a couple of weeks ago. So a few more things added in here. We've got, our hostas that were original to the bed. The hostas, the heuchera, and the sweet woodruff were original to the bed. They are looking great. Then the other day I added, we also have a juga in here that will spread as like a ground cover. And then the other day I added these really gorgeous coleus. I cannot remember the variety, you guys, I'm sorry. And you see these weird splots of seedlings. Those are from I think it's the Midnight Garden mix. It's a shade garden mix. And I grew them in a tray, just like you would do microgreens. And So it was just a little bit of soil. And then when it was ready, I cut out sections like a pizza or a slice of cake, and I plopped them on the ground, and they are rooting and they're looking great. And so that backdrop will be really pretty variety of flowers. And because those are self-seeders, they will spread. Okay, over by the greenhouse. So these containers are gonna need a bit of a refresh soon. This nasturtium, though, is absolutely gorgeous. I found that nasturtiums, that when they grow in the shade, they tend to put on absolutely enormous leaves because they need to get more sun. And so that's what this one is doing, but it's so pretty. So we've got this giant nasturtium here, which I didn't plant. It just kind of ended up, that's what happens with these guys. We've got a flowering maple back here. And then these little guys, these violas, they're starting to look pretty ragged. They're still pretty, but they're starting to look ragged, so I'll probably pull those out soon. This guy's stopped flowering for now. That's fine. Sometimes they pick it up again, and you can see there's new buds here. We've got this gorgeous western sword fern here. These guys, as beautiful as they are really starting to look ragged, especially this side, so I'll probably have to pull those out soon just to make it tidy. But then we've got this gorgeous euchre in here. I think this is caramel. And then basically this is just the equivalent on this side. However, I did add, and I'll do the same once I pull out the violas on the other side. This is a white impatiens, but I just loved that vibrant color of the yellow in there in this variegation. I think it's gorgeous for shade. And then our flowering maple is flowering. So yeah, I just love that pop. It really helps because this is a north-facing wall of the greenhouse in a shaded area of the property. So it barely gets any sun. It gets a little dappled sun. So all of these things are doing great in shade. Now over here, this is deep shade all the time. You can see we've got a bunch of oak trees above us, which do need some trimming back. We've got this really pretty Japanese maple, a Pieris japonica, and then we've got gorgeous ferns and still the hellebores. I mean, they won't drop their blooms forever. These are faded. They probably came out in January, but yeah, this gorgeous hellebore. This is a native iris that just needs dividing. It hasn't produced flowers in years because it needs dividing, but it's okay. And then we've got all these euchera that are finished blooming for the year, but they still were really, really pretty. This is a hardy geranium, cranesbill, still blooming a little bit on the edges, but you can see how deeply shaded it is back there because it's under this giant loropetalum, which we also want to, we've cut it back many, many times, but we'd like to remove it completely. In this container, we've got a gorgeous star jasmine that is just about to explode, and it's very top heavy. It's really pulling on this trellis, and some really pretty oxalis. I love this purple oxalis. It's got little light pink flowers. Tuberous begonia, which is getting huge in this pot. And then this is a Fire Island hydrangea. It's just starting to set its flower buds. The flower heads on this hydrangea are some of the hugest I've ever seen. They're like bigger than my hand and gorgeous fiery red that fades to like pinkish apricotish. It's so pretty. I love this one so much. And it's been in this location for years since I put it in the pot. Another Pieris japonica, which is gorgeous, but again, needs to be cut back. I really want to cut back this loropetalum because I prefer this plant over this. And then this is another Camellia sinensis, like the ones I cut, the one I cut the other day in the front garden. It is absolutely huge at this point. We would like to take out most of these trees and put something smaller in. It's just created so much overgrowth. And at this point, cutting them back won't do anything because you've seen all of the growth starts above this like 5-foot mark. And so you'd be left with basically sticks. But we're kind of waiting on that. This entire retaining wall that's being covered by ivy here needs to be replaced. And that is extremely costly. So that's not a project that's going to happen anytime soon. So we don't really want to start massive destruction of this until we're ready to replace that wall. But I do love these ferns. They are absolutely huge. Of course, they completely die back in the wintertime, and this looks very barren and nasty. But in the spring and summer, these ferns are just gorgeous. And look, here's what one of the unfurling fronds looks like. And we've got this whole hillside of ivy underneath the retaining wall. I mean, the retaining wall is underneath the ivy. And we've got part of the problem with this. Number one, well, the good thing is it holds the hillside in place, right? That's good for erosion, which we have a lot of here. But the other problem is it's rat haven. Like, this is perfect habitat for rats. And we have lots of baby buckeyes coming up from the buckeye trees, and the oaks above us also dropping baby oaks. And we really don't want that. In fact, the photographs of this backyard from 2000, when the addition was put on the house and this pool was put in, this backyard used to be completely open. This was just grass, but there was also just a grass slope here, no fence, no trees. So all of these are within the last 25 years, and it's completely changed how this backyard is. Now, we moved in 2017, so it's kind of looked like this for us. But even then, there's been a whole lot of growth. And though we come through and we cut back, and we have a tree service come in and cut back where we can, it's still getting to the point where, number one, it's shading our roof so much, and we have solar, so we're having less production. Two, the trees are growing into the fence and buckling the fence, and the fence is only a couple years old. So we're gonna have to do some major work, take out some of these trees. Definitely we can take out the buckeyes. Those are native trees. They're not protected, but some of these oaks, these valley oaks, are protected. And so we may not be able to do anything to those other than trim them back. Here's another Loropetalum that's no longer in bloom. It was gorgeous when it was, because it's like bright pink flowers, really pretty. But again, encroaching over the pathways and stuff is just, it's really aggressive. They're pretty when they're small, but when they get big like this, they just become monsters. More ferns. And then this little this is a hardy geranium container. No, I'm sorry, scented geraniums. This is Orange Fizz, the variety. And then all we have in here is just some alyssum. And these will get quite large. And then just this whole area here, seating area, is mostly for succulents. Got this guy down here. And all of these over here. And look, a lot of them are flowering right now, which I just love. Look at that. Succulent flowers are so cool. They're so different from so many other types of flowering plants. These tubular flowers here, again, wonderful for hummingbirds and butterflies. Yeah, they're just a really cool plant. Then we've got our tuberous begonia plants here. They're growing. They're putting on some growth. And I'm hoping to see the beautiful blousy flowers this summer. And then we've got another scented geranium here. This one is apricot scented, surrounded by more nasturtium. And then this chocolate mint and the amaryllis that are spending their summer soaking up energy for their bulbs. So on the way to the front yard, I'll just take you through the kind of the mess that is our back walk here that nobody really comes down except for us. Got some heuchera, this lovely ajuga. We've got lamium, some decorative grasses, a couple of azaleas that don't bloom anymore because they just don't, I mean, they're green, but they just don't have enough nutrition on this hillside. We're under a giant redwood and this really gorgeous Japanese maple. Actually, we're under two giant redwoods. There's one over there. So we have some heuchera in here. All of this is, these are not daffodils. This was all snowdrops. They were gorgeous this year. And then we've got some sweet woodruff spreading through here. This little adorable little daisy that I didn't plant, it just showed up. So I'm not sure what the variety is. This area is always like this because it's a bird feeder and they scratch around in here. So it stays pretty vacant. But we've got one more Loropetalum, again, that I'd like to get rid of. And then this is just a mat of sweet woodruff, ajuga, and lamium. Okay, so now we're on the front walk. This is where the disaster is happening. It's only gonna be a disaster for a little while, but that's in a separate video about making everything fire safe. you can watch that. But you'll see some destruction here. So if you haven't seen that video yet, that will explain why we have the destruction. Here on the front porch, we have, this is deep shade, never gets any sun, like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of a little bit of dapple, but that's it. So we've got this star jasmine, which can do amazing in shade or sun, going over the top of the pergola, linking up with this other one that, like, I mean, look at, look at it. It's like in terrible conditions and it doesn't care. It's just kind of sitting there in this crappy soil. And we thought it was dead when we first noticed it, because it was just these sticks. But then we noticed the green and we started training it up this trellis, and look at that. It's just gorgeous and it smells insane. It's so, so nice. But back down to this one. In this container, we have this absolutely stunning Brunnera. It's silver. I just love this. I think it's beautiful. This pretty coleus, and then I think it's a Western sword fern. I can't remember which variety I put in there, but these guys will slowly fill it in. Occasionally, at some point, the Brunnera will take over, and that's fine with me. I think if this whole thing was silver, it would be so pretty. And then here we've got another Loropetalum. This one's white flowers, pink flowered Loropetalum, pink flowered Loropetalum. Again, eventually would like to get rid of those. This Japanese maple is so pretty, and I would like to keep it. Actually, what I am going to do is go in and trim back a lot of this Loropetalum, because I want the Japanese maple to have more space, and you can see where it's getting a lot of overgrowth, so I need to do that. Underneath here, it's spent at this point, but this azalea with tiny, tiny pink flowers is just covered in it, you can see. This is one of the azaleas that actually was still doing well on the property, and it's surrounded by this hardy geranium. I don't know the variety. Again, they were here before we moved in. But this geranium over here, this azalea over here has not been doing well for years. I'm ready to take it out. I think the reason it's not doing well is it's literally right up against this redwood, and it's competing for resources. It just doesn't need to be here. However, ironically, this is probably, under the redwoods is a little bit more acidic. Our soil is super alkaline, and probably under a redwood it's a little bit more acidic. You would think those plants would be happier, but it's just tough to grow things underneath giant redwood trees. They're just not, it's not an environment for most things to grow. Okay, so here is the walk. Used to be, up until yesterday, camellias and azaleas. Big, big, I mean, it looks horrible, and I'm sure you're wondering why on earth we pulled this out. I explained it all in the fire safe video, but we're no longer allowed to have any plantings within 5 feet of the house unless they are considered fire safe and they are 1.5 feet or shorter. And so this whole area is going to get a total remake. Like I say in that video, I had no problem pulling these out. Yes, they're beautiful. They bloomed, there was many different colors in here of azaleas, but with an alkaline soil of 8 and a need of the plant of 4.5 to 5, this was a struggle every single year, constantly putting resources into it in terms of trying to acidify the soil and keep them from dying. It just didn't make any sense. These were all here when we moved in, and so I would never have chosen acid-loving plants for this location anyway. So it's a good thing to get rid of them. They also use a lot of water, and so what we're going to be putting in is California natives that can handle shade much of the day, that are fire-wise as well as drought tolerant. Okay, so again, along the front walk, what's over here isn't being touched right now. We've got creeping thyme and hostas popping up, and a stilby, and still this this is a hellebore. It didn't bloom this year, but it also came up really late, so I think that's kind of funny. We've got some decorative grasses in here, which I may have to pull out because our city has now determined that certain species of grasses are no longer allowed. So that may have to come out. But again, this is all like creeping thyme in here. We've got euphorbias and nepeta. We've got salvias in here, as well as sticky monkey flower, which is this bright green guy in the middle here. This is a pink one. That will get huge and put a whole bunch of beautiful flowers on and then drop all of its seed and continue to spread it. It's basically an annual, but it self-sows so readily. We've got lots of lavenders in here. These are Pittosporum silver sheens. There are 3 of them. And then there's a different variety right behind it that we're actually going to be moving. And we've got a dogwood back here. You can't even really see it, so it's completely buried by that Pittosporum. I want to expose that so that it can start getting some light and putting on some growth. But we also have some sedums in here that are going to start spreading for us because they're brand new this year. And all of this growth is from the daffodils, so that will come out. I'll pull that out as it starts to brown. But these lavenders are all getting ready to bloom. They got a hard cut back this year. So yeah, they're looking really nice. This is a cotoneaster here. Again, was already here when we moved in, so we left it. And then we've got a really pretty azalea that's coming to the end there. That will stay. And then this gorgeous Japanese maple, which will also stay, and another redwood. And then finally, azaleas right here. This one's done. This one is still in process. This is the most vibrant I have ever seen this particular azalea, and I think the reason is last year we pulled out all of the mock orange. Some of this is trying to come back, and all the stuff that was here was blocking any bit of sun from this azalea, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, getting ready to move into the vegetable garden. This is the bed in front of it. We've still got some California poppies and some yarrow coming back, and there's all kinds of mint back there, which I end up harvesting long stems from for bouquets. This is daffodil stuff that will get cleared out once it's finally done. We've got lavender in here, and then we've got a lot. Deer have been munching on these guys, and that's okay. That's what they do. But we've got some buckwheat in here, and yarrow, California poppies, and lavender, and a ton of volunteer pumpkins. So last year, my neighbors were very sweet and gave me like 15 pumpkins that they had left over from Halloween so that I could give them to the chickens, because it's a really good snack for the chickens, and pumpkin seeds supposedly are a dewormer as well. And I had them sitting here, and I would just break them open like once a week and give a pumpkin to the chickens. Well, the final pumpkin just kind of rotted in place and spread its seeds. And I'm going to let these guys go. I don't know that they'll do anything, they'll actually produce anything, but I have found that my most successful squashes, winter squashes especially, come from ones that like volunteer or start in the compost pile. So we'll see what happens with these guys. Okay, welcome to the garden. This is the food garden for the most part. We do have some herbs in here like this lemon balm and all the mint that escaped a bed a long time ago, and I just let go crazy. I will cut it all back, but then I'll also harvest a bunch of it too. We've got cucumbers here. They're starting to flower, but we've been so cold. They're not really wanting to grow a whole lot yet. That will come, but they're still here. They still look good. Potatoes are kicking it. We filled up these bags. I've already hilled them up a couple of times. So we've got 2 bags there, got a bag over here and a bag here. So they're looking great. This is a paste tomato bed. So in here we've got some sunflowers, some basil that are obviously not tomatoes, but they're companion plants. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paste tomatoes and a couple of onions. So I'm hoping that this plot produces a lot of really good bush tomatoes for me, paste tomatoes for me. This is our pomegranate tree. This is its, I think, 3rd or 4th year. It produces beautiful flowers every year. Last year it produced 1 fruit, and that fruit got eaten before I could get to it, which is a bummer, but at least it started producing fruit. Back here we have a grape. This is a seedless red grape, and it's looking gorgeous, climbing the fence, and it's got a lot of clusters on it. So I'm so excited, and they're high up. The problem in the past was the clusters were really low to the ground, and even though I tried to support them, you know, rats can get to those really easily, but these are high up and they're away from the fence. So I think I might actually get grapes this year. And there are blackberries that we've already pruned and trained. They're starting to flower, which the bees absolutely love. Honey from blackberries is so tasty. And my bees are right there. So they have perfect access to all these blackberries. Okay, and then our asparagus bed, we didn't have anything big this year. We had a lot of stems, but they were very, very thin, thinner than pencils. So the whole point, this is only its second year. I will eventually cut this back in the fall and then let it regenerate. And hopefully next year we'll get some good stems. This is a fig. We've had this fig tree for, I don't know, 12 years. The funniest part is we had it in our previous house that we were renting in a container smaller than this on the back porch, and it had grown through the container, sent a taproot down into the soil underneath. So when we went to move it, we had to like cut that root. And then we repotted it in this pot when we got here, and we thought, it's not gonna live. Oh, it lived. Figs are crazy. So this fig is gonna get moved. I don't know when we're gonna do it. Probably have to wait until the fall, just because that makes the most sense. I'll have to look when it's best to move figs. Usually with fruit trees, it's best to move them in the dormant period. But I have 2 apple trees that have had scale on them for multiple years and never produced flowers or fruit. I think I'm just gonna pull them out because I have other apple trees that do produce, and put this fig in their place, because the scale that predates upon those trees lives in the soil, and it won't, it's not the same species that would attack fig. So I think it'll be a good place for it. Blueberries back here starting. Both of our pots of blueberries are really loaded with berries. Hopefully I can get to them before the birds do. I could put a net over them, but I really struggle with that, because bird netting can kill birds. Unless you can really tightly rig it where it's taut and they can get away, it can be deadly for birds. And I would rather the birds have the berries than me kill birds. Generally, we get both. Generally, I've been able to have enough harvest and share the harvest. So we'll see how it goes this year. Garlic, doing great. I have fertilized it. I mean, it's looking a little browner than I would want to at this time of year. But again, it's been chilly. We should get scapes by about the end of the month. And I can't wait, because that's one of my favorite times. And then after that, about a month after the scapes, then it will be harvest time. This is a squash bed. Everything in it is doing great. We've got fruit and flowering, and so I'm really, really pleased with that. Peonies are very close, very close. This is almost harvestable, and I'm so excited, because that means my Mother's Day people are gonna get gorgeous peonies for Mother's Day. Yeah, I'm just thrilled with these. I planted them, this is their 3rd year, and they are just performing beautifully now. Still lots of daffodil foliage. Again, when it dies back, I'll pull it out, and then it'll just be the peonies in here for the summer. The rose arch, doing amazing. It's absolutely, if you look back at when I pruned this down to just little tiny stumps, yeah, I think in January, it's just astonishing how fast this grows. It's got tons of blooms all over it. Buddleia starting to come up, and we'll have blooms very soon. And then we've got Centranthus back there here in the pollinator patch. Apple tree, we only have 3 apples this year. 2 on this variety, which is Dorset Golden, and 1, this guy right here on this variety, which is an Anna apple. These are apples that can survive zone 9B. Okay, so the rose trellis here and the tiny little orchard in here, these are the 2 apple trees that are, I mean, they look beautiful, right? But again, I've had them, this is their 5th year, no flowers, no fruit, and I think it's because they keep getting attacked with this nasty scale. I hate this. And I scrape the scale off, I treat them multiple times, I just can't defeat it. So pollinator patch, looking great. We've got all kinds. We've got penstemon and rudbeckia and buddleia and salvias and centranthus and all kinds of great stuff in here. Plum tree. This is a 5-in-1 plum, and it's loaded with fruit. We've got lots and lots of fruit. I'm gonna have to come in here and thin, you see back there, to make sure that it can make it through the season without breaking any stems. Okay, tree kale. This one's really fun. It's a perennial vegetable. It's pretty tough, but it's great for the chickens, and if we cook it down, it's actually pretty tasty. Artichokes. Going crazy, absolutely huge. This is the oldest one we have, and it gave us many buds this year, but we had aphids, and so Each of these was packed full of aphids, and there were ants everywhere eating the honeydew. So I did not harvest them. They're just going to flower, and that's okay. Maybe next time. And in fact, we'll get another round down here. So once the flower is done, I will cut back the stalk and we'll have more artichokes. But I love this plant. It's just so fun. We have planted in here peppers and a squash because this gets a shaded in the afternoon, and I think they'll be very happy there. Over here, nice mixed bed. We've got squashes in here that are doing great. We've got sweet potato slips mixed in, a couple of peppers, and then we have these giant red cabbages, which I don't think will head up for me, but the broccoli is trying, and I really hope it does because I think that would be delicious. We've still got some lettuce that we'll be harvesting and a couple of tomatoes as well. More squash in here, doing great. They are fruiting like that. This one is a Casper, so it's a little mini pumpkin. We've got nasturtiums up here, and then this is all St. John's wort that's come up from the bottom, and I do want to pull this out. That's it right there. It's all through the creek bed. Nothing wrong with St. John's wort. It's lovely and it produces a lovely flower, but it's very invasive because it spreads by runners and stuff. So I do want to control that and not let it into my beds. So I will be doing some weeding about that because it really does take over. It forms if you want a good ground cover that takes over quickly, St. John's wort. Okay, we've got, this is a Santa Rosa plum. It is looking beautiful. I don't think it put on any fruit this year, but that's okay. This is only its second year. I am fine with it just giving me growth. We've got blackberries all along the fence line here that are also in their second year, and they're doing well too. Here we've got our tomato bed. So we've got tomatoes on this side and on that side in Florida weave, as well as some peppers on the shaded side and basils, and of course lots of marigolds as a companion plant. And then we have this one squash right here. This one is a round zucchini squash. I grew one in the same spot last year and it did great. In the big bed, it's mostly squash. We do still have these mustards left over from the winter. And it's great for the chickens. This is a very spicy mustard. I love it. It is giant red and it's bolting. So I've been giving the chickens the flower stalks because I'm hoping to delay bolting and continue to have some greens. The corn, for the most part, is still here. I think we're missing 3 or 2 stalks. I'm so thrilled at that. And the squashes are still here. So I'm somehow beating the battle. Something is eating the marigolds, but I think that's insects and not rats. That looks like slug damage. And we're fruiting here as well. I don't see I don't know what the tag for this one is. So yeah, fruits. This is mostly winter squash. I don't think we have any summer squash in this bed. Then over here, we've got potatoes, a different variety from what's in the grow bags. They're doing well, not growing as rapidly as the other ones, but that's fine. They still look good. The fact that they don't have early blight, that's all I care about at this point. Because last year at this time, I had to harvest them all. I had to take the top growth and harvest them all because it had early blight and it was spreading, and that will go down into the tuber and kill the tuber. So I had very tiny potatoes, not much of a harvest. So the fact that they still look good and they're green and there's no blight, I'm very happy about that. So back over here next to the Santa Rosa plum, we have a nectarine that, even though I treated it this year, again suffered from leaf curl. So this happens, it's a fungal disease. So last year was the first year I had it. Once you have it, it's really hard to get rid of. I treat it with dormant oil spray, and that helps a little bit, but this, at least it's not as widespread this year, and it actually produced fruit. However, sometimes this will affect the fruit. So we'll see. These are nectarines. We'll see how it goes. It'll be okay. Again, this is only the second year for this plant, so I'll just keep treating it with dormant oil in the wintertime and hope we can beat back this horrible fungal disease. There's a blueberry. Didn't really produce much this year, but that's okay. It's getting bigger. Really, again, with these early, new plants, I just want their first year or two to be all about putting on great root growth and really strong stems. Okay, another nectarine here with leaf curl, but still fruit. So we'll see how this fruit ends up. You know, this is not, like if it take over the whole plant, like last year it was really bad. It was almost every leaf. Then it doesn't produce fruit, but we'll see. It could be worse. So some of that treatment did help. This is a jujube, which it's only its second year. Maybe we'll get some fruit off of it this year. Another blueberry, and then this is blackberries right here and here, and this is elderberry, and you can see we've got the beginnings. We've got even a bee landed on that guy right there. They're not even open yet. And then this bed is climbing beans, nigella and sweet potatoes, and then bush beans around here, and then 4 squashes and peppers. Finally, we have a bed that is mostly bush beans and a couple of peppers where I had open spots where the beans died. So yeah, they're doing good. And then this tree, this is a nectarine as well. This cracks me up. This tree is actually inside the chicken run. You can see. The chickens have scraped, I thought it was a gunner. They had scraped away all of the wood chips and stuff from around the base, like the roots are exposed. This tree has not given up. It sent out a branch crooked through the wire, and it is loaded with fruit. It also has peach leaf curl, but I mean, I definitely will have to come in here and thin. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I hope these develop into nice edible fruits, but yeah, I definitely need to thin. But this tree is the tree that wouldn't quit. It's just hysterical to me. Okay, finally, we have our very first ever peony over here. This is a Sarah Bernhardt. I love this. Oh, see, now this is ready for picking. It is marshmallow soft. Some of the petals are really exposed. This is peeling back. Yeah, that is ready for harvest. And then, of course, all the girls who are waiting for their food. So that is it for our early May garden tour. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was kind of quick running through things. If you have any questions, let me know. I can't remember the varieties on some things, so I'll do my best to answer that. Like, for instance, this climbing rose arch here. Can't remember at all what those varieties are. I'd have to look back at an old YouTube video to see what I said. But like I said, I'll do what I can. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.